Strickland.
Mr George Strickland, MLA, Member for Scarborough and Deputy Speaker. Mr Peter Ward, Councillor for the Coastal Ward, City of Stirling. Mr Graham Johnson, President of the West Australian Junior Baseball League. Mr Ron Fairclough, President, Kareem Baseball Club. Mr Jeff Greeny, President, Balcatta Baseball Club. Helen Langdon and her mighty family. Life members, invited guests, players, past players, supporters, ladies and gentlemen. It's with great pleasure that I am able this afternoon to read to you an extract from a letter we have received from the City of Stirling. I wish to advise the West Stirling Baseball Club that as of the 21st of September 1995, the name Millington Reserve was formally changed to Kevin Langdon Reserve. You will all be aware of the great work that Kevin did for the West Stirling Baseball Club and baseball in Western Australia generally. And I'm sure this is a great honour for him and his family to have this reserve named after him. I would now ask you all to stand to observe a minute's silence. One of our great supporters who unfortunately passed away during the close season, and Mr Herb Cook, another great supporter and follower of the West Stirling Baseball Club and baseball in Western Australia. I ask you to observe a minute's silence. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. I would now ask Mark Langdon to throw a ceremonial first pitch on Kevin Langdon Reserve. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen, and best of luck to Morley Eagles this afternoon and, of course, the West Stirling Indians. Thank you. Oxy. Is Oxy around? No, he's still drinking a beer with his Melville Braves Colts. What a guy. But Oxy has done so much today. In fact, I think Woodsy was battling to remember what he'd done. But no doubt Oxy will enjoy himself further on through the day. In particular, I'd like also to thank a few people who have come forward with some sponsorship in various means to help us today. Alan Erdman has contributed greatly to today, and we thank you for that, Alan. We have some prizes in our monster raffle, which I hope you're all going to buy tickets for, and there'll be people circulating throughout the day selling them. The draw will be around about 6:30. But Harvey World Travel have given us a travel voucher. George and Karen Russell have contributed a banquet for 8 at the Warwick Chinese restaurant. And the Lotteries Commission have contributed some scratch tickets, $50 worth of scratch tickets. We've also got a few little prizes from one of our club sponsors, the Matilda Bay Brewing Company. So without those guys, it would have been harder today, but we thank them very much. I'd like to take the opportunity now just to do a little bit of a promo for the club, I guess it is. You all know the history of the West Stirling, the West Perth, the West baseball clubs. It's a very proud tradition. We are, though, at this point in time, as you know, probably those that are still involved in baseball itself in this state is struggling. We've got a situation where we're about to lose the premier playing arena for the sport. Parry Field will be going as of this year, and there is no replacement as yet. People are looking very actively around for it, but it's symptomatic, I guess, of baseball. Baseball just doesn't have the involvement from people it had 10, 15, 20 years ago. And we're feeling that in this club. And any of you old players, old members, supporters, that would like to get back involved in the club in any way, we would welcome you back with open arms, I assure you. The club does have, as I said, have a proud tradition, and we would like to continue that. And to continue that, we do need the assistance of you people. So, as a bit of a promo for the club, please, if you can help us, please do. For our current situation, I'd like to introduce now our State League squad, so that you can put names to the faces on the diamond for the game you'll see this afternoon. And Dean, I wonder if you'd lead the guys in. Dean Mitchell, our coach. Followed by Paul Jones. Followed by Sean Baker. Jason Allen. Gavin Barry. Tommy Dancer. Gerard Prosper. Whizzer. Matt Russell. Craig Lewington. Scott Lawson. And Dion Savelli. As I assure you, have put in 100% on the diamond. And I assure you, when you watch the game this afternoon, with these guys participating, you will realise that we have a lot of talent in the West Stirling club. To just carry on the supporters' role for you guys, there are currently newsletters. I think there are some on the bar and that. If you'd like to take one before you leave, and if any of you would like to follow the club through the final series which is coming up, we will have teams playing in finals. If any of you would like to follow the club, Jan Barrack, our secretary's phone number is there. If you just give her a call, she'll be able to fill you in with the schedule for the finals games. And we would hope to get a lot of you down to support the club in the finals. Well, I guess that's it for me. Now you've got the pleasurable side of the day to go. Warren is going to come up and give you a rundown on the West Perth and West Stirling clubs. So thank you very much again for coming today, and I'll hand over to Warren.
Thanks, Robin. And it is very gratifying to see faces that I do remember back in the days when I had short pants, etc. It was a long time ago. Yeah, the other half of it's on the skinny body. But truly, to you guys, thanks for coming today. It's been much appreciated, and we do have a long way to go for this afternoon. I just want to give you a rough rundown of the club's history in the early stages now. It's as close as I can get to being correct from all the wise men of the club, and I'm talking Rail and etc., who, along with other people, have been very, very helpful to me to get this information. So, to our best of our knowledge, it's as close as you can get to being correct. So, be with me for probably 5 minutes, and then we're going to have a few speeches from previous cases, etc. We won't be very long, we hope. Robin, members of the committee, life members, past and present players, supporters, welcome to our 1907 inaugural reunion. On this auspicious occasion, it is truly gratifying to see so many old faces from the past. Please bear with us, as I said, through a few important formalities. If my informant's historical facts are correct, then the inception and formation of our great club was born at a meeting of a small body of people, mainly from the staff of the West Australian newspapers, sometime in 1936. Originally calling ourselves Wests in the years of 1936, 37 and 39, and then the Press in 38, 40, 41, up until we think approximately 1955. Geez, you can tell I've done this before. Thank you. Hey, go now, Bobby. Now I lost my place. Thanks, Prez. No, we had an enjoyable record when I checked out through previous historical books, etc., that I feel that we had 6 consecutive premierships. That was coming, I think, from around about 36 onwards. And I was rubbing my hands with glee thinking, that's great. And I looked down later on, and one of our coaches in the next 2 decades later, I saw his name figure, and bugger me, Swans knocked us off. They had 7 in a row, so we did hold the record for a while anyway, fellas. So after 1955, our official name then became West Perth, with the identity of the Indians in it. We were playing on grounds like Ozone, Langley, Hector Park, Wellington Square, and they were not the most ideal of conditions. Then obviously we had a few problems with our performances, etc. in those years. We arrived at Leederville Oval in approximately 1963, and the ground being in good condition, etc., and players for the first time has had a chance to have a shower after the games. They had change rooms. They could train properly. Obviously our conditions and playing ability became a far better thing. And along with this, a bloke called Ron Thornton arrived at our club. And there became a marked general improvement with some very gratifying performances, especially in 64 and 69. After 1970, we were shunted then for some years around the town. Places like Alderbury Oval, at Floret, we were forced to play in. Weren't bad positions or places to play in, but wasn't the ideal positions. And then due to some heavy lobbying to the Stirling Shire, along with new boundaries that we obtained from the WA Baseball, our club was only under flourish. So numbers greatly increased, especially juniors, and the Stirling Shire finally agreed to let us share Millington Oval with the Scarborough Football Club. And at that time there was also athletics were part of the situation here. Fortunately for us, they were transferred from here, and that park you see up there is where we played our first probably 5 or 6 years. It was a good start, and there were good times for our club. The only thing asked by the council, the Shire, was that our identity be changed, and they required us to have Stirling or some part of their name in our club. Hence the name, the West Stirling Indians, arrival in 1974, which we don't think actually happened on paper until 76. However, in 1987, the season arrived, and due to some magnificent work by our then Honourable President Kevin Langdon, a separate baseball ground was approved by the Shire. Hence, several years of hard work was to follow. At this stage, I just must mention a few fellas. Hard-working stalwart, and I've sorry just arrived, Steve Allen and his mighty gang of brickies, with the help of the football club that was also here, a variety of tradesmen from our club, players and supporters, we've built these latest additions to now in here. Along with this, there were base paths dug out, scorers boxes. A thing that probably is second to none here at the moment is the Alan Erdman scoreboard. Have a look at it when you get out and have a look at the game, ladies and gentlemen. It's probably apart from Perryfield, we're proud to have that. It's a fantastic effort from BL on that. Finishing that we finally have one of the finest ballparks in the country, and that's my idea, and I think that you probably agree with that, and showing that our club is definitely steeped in tradition and character and will remain so. At this point, it would be remiss of us not to remember all our deceased past players, committee members and supporters. Too many to name individually. However, I'm sure that each and every one here has had a friendship with one or another at some time. So as a collective group, we will remember them for their untiring efforts to our club, and I feel sure that they would not mind us drinking a toast to them on this national day. I'm going to take this opportunity to invite some of our previous coaches, who some may realise or recognise them, with some of their most pleasant moments or unpleasant moments or experiences in the past. Now, George Day. George coached our baseball club from 1947 to 1952. I'm sure George is only too pleased to come up here and just say a few words, please. George Day. Thank you. Thank you very much, Warren.
Ladies and gentlemen, I could probably go on for about an hour to tell you all the stories that has happened to the baseball club over many, many years. And there's one or two, or more than one or two faces I'm so very, very pleased to see here today that I haven't seen for quite a number of years. And I could probably tell the story about each individual. But briefly, I'd like to add a little bit to Warren's history as to how the club started. It all started through cricket, through the English team visiting Western Australia on their way through to the eastern states, or vice versa, I forget now. Ron Halcombe, very well known cricketer, was bowling magnificently, and he had 7 catches dropped in both innings in the slips. And one of the commentators, by the name of Bert, can you remind me?
Bert Courtlang.
Courtlang's the name, thank you, said over the air that what a shame it was that the West Australians did not play baseball because it would improve their throwing and their catching ability. And C.P. Smith, who was the managing editor of WA newspapers at that time, and an old baseballer, because a lot of people don't realise that baseball has been played in Australia, and particularly in Victoria, for something like 150 odd years, maybe more. Brought here by the old whalers, with the Americans on board, of course. Anyhow, this man had played a lot of interstate cricket, and he'd also played for New Zealand internationally, cricket, and he felt quite wisely, I feel, to say that we should play baseball so we'll improve our catching and throwing. Anyhow, so C.P. Smith said, right, I'll be right behind you, Bert Courtlang, because he'd called Courtlang in, and he got cricket going and he sponsored this, baseball going and he sponsored this, and so on. Anyhow, quite a few of us didn't have a clue about baseball. And my reaction was, when invited, because most of us were cricketers, what about playing for the WA newspapers in baseball? So I said, I don't want to play that so-and-so Yankee game. I knew nothing about it anyhow. So that was that. A few weeks later, I got a message from the managing editor. George, you're expected to play baseball. So that was it. I played baseball, and I never regretted it either. A great game, wonderful game. So this was back in 35, 36, and that's a long time ago, and I'm fairly long in the tooth. Don Callanan is younger than I, and Don was a mere stribling in his very early teens in those times. So Don can remember this too. Then Ray came a little later and he probably got the message. But anyhow, that's apart from the history. That's actually how we started off in WA. Victoria Park came in. The Denfords started a team down called the Blue Sox in East Perth, and we were away. We finished up in the A grade about 6 or 7 teams. They were all pretty good baseballers finally, and with Courtling's coaching, of course. Courtling coached right up to the war, but not after the war, and he did a great job. Anyhow, some of the things that about coaching and so on, I only coached a little bit after the war, just for about 3-4 years maybe, because nobody else wanted to do it. Glenn Dunstan, who could have done it, played 2 or 3 times after the war, but finally gave it away. And Charlie Puckett, not Charlie Puckett, who was it now? No, it wasn't Nesbitt, it was later. Nesbitt was later still. Anyhow, the mind's getting a bit hazy. Anyway, so somebody said to me, what about you coaching? I said, oh, well, I'll try. So we didn't do too badly because we lost all our top players. Tom Nesbitt had come back from the war, and he had to give it away a little while later anyway. But we did a lot of coaching around the schools, with Charlie Puckett coming into it and all the rest of it, after the war again. And Charlie was playing with another team. And we had quite a lot of young fellas come through the ranks, and one of them I see here today is Jimmy Rule. Jimmy was a boy and wanted to play baseball in the school, so we coached and all the rest of it. And Jimmy finished up as the state catcher, if I remember rightly. He caught for the club anyhow. Oh, another one too was the catcher for Swans. Now, what was his name? Gooch, Roy Gooch. Roy Gooch finished up doing very, very well indeed. And from there he went across to South Perth. Anyway, probably the most memorable I can remember of and pleasing was one day with our very, very weak old team. We were playing in the northern suburbs, and they had a very, very well-known young baseballer, come cricketer, from Wally Driver from Victoria. And the other most important person on this particular day, of course, was Keith Denham. Keith was very, very raw in baseball, and when he knew the driver was going to play his last game, said to me, as I was coach, what am I going to do? Where am I going to be out in the outfield? I said, well, you play it at left field. So he said, okay, but what am I going to do? I said, well, you just watch me as soon as driver comes up to bat. This duly happened, and driver came up to bat, and I'm waving Keith out, out, because we had a fellow who was a very slow pitcher, fairly accurate, but not a great deal of pace at all, and the driver hit it straight down Jimmy's throat, Keith's throat. Next time driver came up, I waved Keith round, and the whole of the outfield round to the right, and he planted it straight down Keith's throat again. But the funny part about it was, this was at Langley Park, and the crowd used to have quite huge crowds there, and the crowd was sitting in all out in the outfield, and the outfielders were having to run through the people, even though the umpires were trying to push them back all the time. Anyhow, this fellow, Wally Driver, planted it straight down Keith's throat again, and Keith about 5 or 6 rows back in people, running around and caught the ball. So next time Driver came up, I thought to myself, well, driver's got to go for broke because as he's going back to Victoria, he wants to hit a home run. So anyway, I waved the spoke to the scorers, changed their positions, waved Keith to centre field to left field, and I just waved them right the way around. And driver got onto one. And Keith was way out among the people. I was waving him back all the time, and driver really got onto one, and he sunk it straight down Keith's throat. But this time, driver was round first and halfway to second. And he was so disgusted that he ran back, picked up his bat, slammed it onto the ground, picked it up and slung it away again and stalked off. So that was my most memorable time, I guess, with baseball as a coach. Yeah, right. Thank you very much for people. As I said, I can send you an awful lot, but that'll have to do, won't it? Thank you.
Thanks, George. Thanks much, mate. Very fond memories. Right, moving along. Our next coach from 1954 to 1958, the one and only Don Callahan. Don, will you start there, please, mate?
Well, ladies and gentlemen, I won't be here long. In the record there, I've coached this club for about 4 or 5 years. I'm not too sure if it was... I'm very familiar with these things. But I just wish to say that my wife and I are very, very pleased to be asked here today, and I'm sure that this club will continue the traditions as we started it many, many years ago. And it's very, very pleasing for me to come here and run into fellas that I haven't seen for 20, 30, 40 years. I mean, nice, quiet young fellas like Bill Carney and fellas that I remember. You know, it's been great. So I won't say any more, but I know that the club will continue. It has the base, and it has the youth, and it has the endeavour. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Don. Thanks very much, mate. I know how he feels. It's not going to get old. Thanks, mate. Our next coach was probably one of the first guys I remember who had a bit of probably a hassle with me, I suppose, as a young fella, but I'm not too sure if the guy wants to say any words about this, but from 1959 to 1960 in the Nightball series, Reg Tarky Osmond coached our club. Reg, do you want to say a few words or not?
Come on, Reg, come on.
What do you reckon? Just walk up there, mate, and I'll...
Oh, yeah, Reggie.
He's looking at him. Reggie, yeah, for pal.
Well, this is somewhat of a surprise to me. I didn't come here for this today. I come here to see all these faces that I've known for years and years. Many I haven't seen, as Don said. Over 30 years. Nothing gives me greater pleasure than to stand here and look at all these faces. Many good times I remember. Many good times, and I'll never forget them. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Darcy. I'm glad to have the Osmond say 59-60. Another one of our coaches for a season in 1960 to 61 was none other than Jimmy Wise. Jimmy, you'd like to step up for a quick word? Managed to do well. Come on, Jimmy, get your backside up there, pal.
You have to help him up.
What is this, a sports meeting or a church meeting? My memory goes.
Any word, ladies and gentlemen?
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Nice to be here, see so many faces with whom I've shook hands and abused from time to time. It's great to see people, particularly the elderly ones, and to see the young people coming on. We had, I heard you being eulogised about where the game started. It started with a bat and ball, I believe. But nonetheless, I mean, I'm not going to say much because I'm only an oldie. In the interim period, I wish the club every success from here on, and thanks ever so much for the invite.
Thanks, Jimmy. The comment there is, I mean, Ollie, this is what our club's all about. This is what we based our success on in the past years. Thanks, buddy. Moving along from the years 1962 to 1970, with premierships in seasons 63, 64, and one in 69 and 70. I give you none other one of the West Perth Indians' favourite sons, Ron Thornton. Where are you, Thornton? Mr. President, ladies and gentlemen, members of the West Stirling Baseball Club in Warren Wood. I would just like to say that on behalf of my wife and I, that we're very, very happy and delighted to be here. We arrived up from Albany on Friday night at Warren and Margaret Wood's place, and I was in for a few surprises there. First off, I met some of the old bandits of the club, the Thilby family and the Atkinson family, and then Don Ware with his good wife Faye. And I won't go into all the rigmarole of what happened, but I was very, very surprised and very delighted, as I say. No doubt this club is going places, a magnificent pavilion. When you compare it with what we played on at Wellington Square and so forth, you start to improve at Leadville Oval, no doubt, but the club has done very, very well. Your members are here in droves. You've got people playing on both sides of the oval, which is very happy to see. When you compare it with years ago, myself personally, to see people like the Callamans, Reggie Osmonds, Basil Stewarts, the Stan Polars, the Bill Carneys. Incidentally, we used to call him Wild Bill Carney, and he earned that reputation. George Day, who I've known for many, many years, and also run into some of the players I coached and some of the colts that I coached, who are now retired from baseball. It does make me feel very old. Also to see visitors like Mr. and Mrs. Dyer over there, and Mrs. Carter, coming up from other clubs and umpires. It's great to see you coming out here. They must respect the club to do that, I'm sure. I think that's about all I can say, apart from the fact that I could go on like George did with his stories of long ago. I think my best memories of this club is that I was very, very happy. I made a lot of friends, and thank you very much, and I wish the club all the best for the future. Thanks, Ronnie. I'm Midland Minister, or Rumish, should I say. Welcome to Melville, or Ismail, I'm not sure which to announce at the moment, to you guys, Foxborough, you little... yes, thanks for making this an important day for us and helping us to celebrate that. Moving along from Ronnie Thornton, in the years of 1971 to 75, and then again in 1978, another one of the Indians' favourite sons, Mello Hearn.
Get up there, Mello. First of all, I'd like to thank Warren for this opportunity. I've just had 3 seconds bloody warning. Thank you very much. For me today, I'm only one of the part-timers at Stirling. I spent only about 10 years here. But my memories of West Perth as it was then, there's some pretty strong memories of playing against West Perth as much as playing with them. And the sort of fellas I'm talking about is there's Bilby and Warren Wood, etc. One of my early recollections of Woodley, of course, is down at Langley Park, actually, in a grand final where they gave us a terrible hiding, and I remember them throwing Woodsy in the river. It wasn't us who threw him in, it was your guys, or our guys. To see some of the earlier members here, such as Georgie Day, Don Callanan, and Ray Allen, those people, and obviously there are a lot of the older ones that aren't with us anymore, so I guess we can treat ourselves as the fortunate ones that we're here. And it's great for this sort of a reunion to occur. I hope all the younger ones today appreciate the tradition that you have set here. My later memories of West Perth, of course, are in Ronnie Thornton's era, when they took them through to that memorable grand final. And obviously the photos are here, and Brian Atkins will be very pleased to know that that photograph has now been put right. For all those years that it wasn't quite right. But I'll pass it at that. Thank you very much. The times here at West Stirling, as I knew it, in West Perth earlier, were some wonderful times, and many, many friends have made, and obviously we've reacquainted today. And the enjoyment of doing that, I hope, will continue for most of the day. And the younger ones will get to realise the sort of tradition that was created by the many older members that are here today. And obviously the club is thankful for them. And thank you.
From 76 to 77, Steve Oxley. Get your backside up there. All these blokes are pulling faces that this is being just put on right now. That is complete bull dust. You know.
And Bob Harris and myself wanted to meet with you as soon as possible. Hold it up, mate. Yeah, okay, so in those couple of years that I was there, or as coach of this club, I certainly thoroughly enjoyed being part of it. And that little bar over there seems to be pretty sort of firmly implanted in the mind, especially with the great big hunk of lard that's standing on the other end of it. On the MU. I don't know, I am actually taken sort of aback here. Woodsy, this is pretty clever what you've done to everyone here, but just thank you for everyone being here today, and it's great to be part of the Indians reunion. It certainly is, it's very, very deep in my heart as being a member of this club. I thoroughly enjoyed my years here, and always love to come up to a game, even though I'm sort of coaching the other Indian sort of factor, the Braves, which is nice to be part of too. That's about it. Let's just all have a very, very nice day. Thank you.
Pointing along the next one, a couple of things I just want to say to you. There's a book outside. Please make sure that each and every one of you guys fill the book in, name, date, and if you can remember, I know it's a bit hard for some of you old guys, the years that you played from until. There's also a lot of artefacts down here that we have. They're very personal to a lot of people here, you know, to the guys and people who look, just, you know, I just request please that you're gentle with them because they're very, very important and they're irreplaceable. They've been brought here for our purpose today from a bunch of supporters who have given us fantastic service, and that's their memories of our baseball club. Please just look after them, thanks. Moving along, from the years 1980 to 84, and then 87, another one of our favourite Indian boys, Bobby Harris. Alright, I guess like everybody else today, it really is a pleasure to be here and catch so many old faces and be around a club that really does have a lot of tradition, and certainly I know by the people here is close to a lot of people's hearts. One of the things Woodsy just missed, he skipped a couple of years when Woodsy coached, I think after Oxy, Woodsy stepped into the scene. I came after Woodsy, and I've got to tell you that a lot of the work was done. Woodsy had put a bit of work ethic into some of the fellas that had gone off the boil in some cases, and they were used to work by the time I got there. Just in the era that we were here, or that I was there, I had some terrific help from blokes like Clacker and Tolly and Woodsy, and really come across some real genuine people in baseball. And I think most people in baseball are genuine, but we went through a couple of mini eras in that period. One was we thought, well, the whole answer to everything is you go and get an American baseballer and you'll be right, you'll win finals. We did that, and I've got to say we had some talented Americans that were with us, and you'd love to have their arms or you'd love to have their things that they had in some of their abilities, but you'd never swap it for an Australian heart. I'll say that quite openly. We then decided after that that the thing that we would do is that we would
build from within the district. And I think with the guidance of the fellow that's up the top there, Kevin Langdon, and I know Woody was involved in a lot of people, but in particular Kevin, we went and sort of got started with the Balcatta Baseball Club and the Kareem Baseball Club and decided that we were going to build, I guess, district baseball within the West Stirling group. And we decided at that point that we were going to build homegrown kids, and yes, it was going to take a few years, but at the end of the day, if we stayed on that policy, that we would be the winners for it within the district. And I've got to say, we stayed on that policy, and to this day, the fellow that took over from me was Steve Langdon, and I guess Langers is next. But the rewards come from it because Langers had a terrific rapport with young fellas, and it was a grand final side that was built from kids within the district, and I think that was probably our proudest night for a long, long time. So all I can say is that West Stirling Baseball Club is something very, very special to me. It's got special friends. There are people that I still associate with now, even that we're not playing baseball, that are dear friends of mine, and that's one of the things I think that you meet in this club, is you meet genuine people that you form long-term friendships with. So West Stirling, as far as I'm concerned, will be a club that can just go on and has some principles, and I think you look around the room and you see the benefits of that. So I appreciate the chance to speak to you. Thank you. Thanks, Bobby. Much appreciated. Bobby was the head coach between 1980 to 84, had a stint again for 87. In between there was a few coaches. The rest of the guys that were in those coaching positions in those days aren't here, apart from one fella, and that was in the year of 1980. Sorry, I did a job in 79-80. Okay, I've got enough to say. The next guy is from 1985 to 86, Steve Allen. Don't tell the truth.
Thanks, Woody. Robin Preston's just told me I've got 1 minute, so it will be 1 minute. It was sort of, I've been around this club for nearly 20 years, and I can't say much more than what everybody else has said really about how proud I am to be involved in this baseball club. It's one of the greatest enjoyments I've had through my whole life, and all the people, etc., etc. The year that I coached with Don Kyle that year. We had some really star players in our team, and Donnie was under a lot of pressure and asked me to just take over about halfway through the season. And it was one of the greatest nerve-wracking things I've ever done in my first 4 or 5 games, you wouldn't believe. But I've got a lot of experience and a lot of support from the club, and I've been here that long, I ain't going nowhere. This is a great club. Thank you very much. Thanks, see you later.
Is that 1 minute?
Yeah, that's 1 minute. Well done, son. Okay. Pretty special occasion here for us. From the years 1987 to 1990, with a premiership in Palmania in 1990. One of our past players and coaches is Steve Langdon. So I just hope that you guys will put a special minute in for memory of Steve. Marie is going to come up here with us, and Bobby Harris will just have a few words on behalf of Steve Langdon and Marie Langdon. All right. When Langers took over as coach, and I've got to say that in the years when I coached, probably the fellow that I sat down and we used to just talk baseball even when I wasn't there was till all hours of the morning, as Marie reminded me. One of the fellows certainly was Steve Langdon, and Steve Langdon I considered a very, very good friend, close personal friend, that whenever we were together we could sit for hours and talk baseball, and as I'm sure what will happen here today. But one thing Steve Langdon had amongst his tools, certainly number one, was honesty. He didn't know any grey areas. Langers was forthright in what he did. When he was playing in the years that I was coaching, I've just got to say that Langers was just an absolute inspiration. Langers, as you know, didn't mind having a beer. And I said to him one year, Langers, if you're going to get a game in A grade, you're going to have to give up drinking. And he said, you're joking? I said, no, they're the rules. Either you do or you don't. He gave up drinking. He took over the second base spot, and he was an absolute sensation. But that's the sort of input and the character that our young people of today could learn. If you sacrifice something, you can get somewhere. And I knew that when Steve Langdon took over coaching, that he would be successful. Number one is because he had the character to be successful. He had done the hard things, and as I said before, he had a terrific rapport with people, particularly young people, because he was honest. He knew his baseball, and Langers took us to that night when we won the grand final in 1990, and I've got to say that I can't think of a prouder night that I've been in baseball, because what he did it with was kids from this area, as I said before, and he led them to a grand final. He led the club there, and we've been searching for it for many, many years. But that was Langer's character that came through and still has developed into some of these kids that are out there playing today. So Steve Langdon, in my books, a very worthy recipient of leading the club to the grand final, and a great friend. Thanks, Bobby. Thanks for work. I just appreciate it. One little more commercial. As you've realised, I said before that we are very, very blessed in having a fantastic scoreboard at this ground. We do have one, as I said, stalwart in this club, and you're probably killing for saying this, but he's put a sizable donation towards this day today. So to one of our great supporters of the club, Big Alan Irvin, he's just worn out because he's embarrassed. Thanks, Alan. This is it. Thanks to West Stirling Baseball Committee for the tasty spread put on by the ladies. It looks like it's going to be fantastic. Also, I've got done, Alan, sorry, I'm starting to go over my bloody tracks there. In parting, I must say that without the hard-working efforts of people that have formed our committees and behind-the-scene workers over the past 60 years, and have done so from their hearts, our coaches, players and all our officers who have worn the Indians uniform with pride and dignity, thank you. Long may our club prosper and keep the proud fighting Indians tradition alive. Enjoy each other's company on this auspicious occasion, as I'm sure we have cherished every moment of past involvement. We've had in this our great club, the Indians, finally from me, a special thanks to everyone who's assisted myself to make this day possible, and the guys know who they are. Thanks for all that very much.
Next photo will be the 1960s. Anyone from the 1960s will be forming a group. Play 1960s. Please go to watch the middle bit and. Drive the bloody thing straight, okay?
signal. He's got the baloney.
Okay, guys, take your sunnies off if you're wearing them. What? So if anyone's wearing sunnies, and looking at me on the count of 3, okay? 1, 2, 3. Okay, and another one. Okay, on the count of 3. 1. Okay, on the count of 3. And 1, 2, 3. And another one.
Come on, that's life in the fast lane.
Okay, on the count of 3 again, looking at me, and 1, 2, 3. Hold it there, fellas.
Hey, guys, $10. Nancy's going.
Everybody say 6.
First coach of the club, George Day. Off you go, George. All right. Well done. Hang on, Don. Don, don't go yet.
It's okay. You've got it.
You got Don Callahan. The next picture up is Jim Wise. Jim coached the club from 1960 to 1961. And it's a strike. It's a great pitch. Oh, no, that was a mistake. That was Reg Osborne, and now we have Jim Wise. Reg was coaching from 59 to 60, and Jim Wise from 60 to 61. I think Reg is the first. Well, he bounced in the strike. And the next one is Ron Thornton. That was Jimmy Wise, right? Ron Thornton. Should be a break and pitch in this wind. He's going to get one more. It still doesn't work, they shouted. Nice pitch, Mel. Then came Steve Oxbrow. Oxbrow, the only pitcher hit it over with no shoes on. Steve coached the club from 1976 to 77.
Wave to the fans. Who's on first?
A lefty.
A lollipop.
Steve, a great pitcher in his day for both Western Australia and Australia. Bob Harris. Oh, yeah, it should be you, Woodsy, 79 to 80. And Woodsy's in there. Bob Harris. Bob coached the club from 1980 to 1984, plus he coached a year in 1987. He's going to go to the mound, still playing Masters now. The old familiar style. It's a great pitch. Steve Allen. Steve Allen from 1985 to 1986. No. Marie Langdon. Of course, we had during 87 to 1990 Steve Langdon. Some great years for the club, the year that we won a premiership. And Dean Mitchell is helping out, and it's well done, Marie Langdon. And then, no, hey, Woodsy! Hey, Woodsy! No. One to go. And the last one is Steve Allen. Steve coached the club from 1985 to 1986. He's on the mound, and it's a great... No, it's not. Thank you very much. That completes it. A great result and some great pictures.
Okay. Thank you, Bryce.